Welcome your host, Caddy Frink, as she leads discussions about substance use disorder and the journey to recovery. You're listening to Redefining Recovery, a recovery revolution.
Gotta get that jam going, just kind of get the music and the body flowing. Hey, welcome to Redefining Recovery, a recovery revolution here on AM 950, the progressive radio station. My name is Caddy Frink. I'm back in the saddle again. And who's across the table from me?
Hi, Caddy. Cynthia Mungia.
And who are you?
Cynthia is the executive director for Minnesota Recovery Connection, and sometimes she does know what she's doing and where she's at.
And sometimes we talk in the third person just because. Well, welcome, Cynthia, and welcome everybody who's listening to the show. Last week, you had the incredible Sarah, Darnell, and Eli doing a show while I took a day off. So I hope you all enjoyed the show on Saturday. They were a marvelous team. I listened, and they were just talking about all kinds of good recovery stuff. So we have to start off the show like we always do. Cynthia, what's right with you today?
You know, the best thing about today was that I was able to not only take my dog, Lola, out, but I put a harness on my visiting cat, Peach, and Peach went for a walk, and that was just the sweetest thing. It was so adorable. I was just, you know what? It's the little things that make just a day absolutely amazing.
I so need to see a picture of this. Oh, my heavens to Betsy.
And I took a picture.
Okay, I'll have to see that. Might have to post that one just on the radio show Facebook page, because that's something to behold. Cats and harnesses are not necessarily a very good combo platter.
No,
so
she did good.
Did she?
She did.
Very nice.
And so, Caddy, now tell me what's right with you today.
What's right with me is I'm back in the saddle. Love doing this show, y'all. It just is my dream come true, as we all know. What's right with me is that it has rained a lot, and I am a gardener. I had a very busy weekend working an event that I do, and I was dead dog tired over the weekend, but I got out there and I got into the doit. So with all this rain, my garden, just like in the last couple of days, has just flourished.
Okay.
And there is something about me and the dirt and the things that grow, the things that I get to nourish, not just with the ground and the things, but it nourishes my soul.
Yeah.
And I've got like a tree that's flowering pink flowers right now. I've got bushes that are flowering white flowers right now. So everything is just a bloom in my garden, and things are just beginning to really. I've got a plant that hasn't bloomed in years on my boulevard, and it's got this big, beautiful pink poof. I don't even know what the heck the flower is, but I'm just like, so I walk around and I'm just like happy. So I could talk about gardening for the entire show if one gave me the opportunity. But I'm just so happy. Spring has sprung. It's been raining, and I get to get out in the doit.
One of the things that I've learned about our life and how we present and what we share and what we teach is that we can apply gardening to our life.
Absolutely.
Because if we look at our community, we are a big garden, and there's things in our garden, beautiful flowers, shrubs. There's also the bees and the worms and everything that makes that garden bloom. And that's our community.
Well, it is. And I will go down the reels in the Facebook, and I'll get into something. And one of the things I love to watch is there's a lot of yard people who do free mow Fridays.
Okay.
And one of the guys that I watch regularly, he will cut a yard for someone, but exactly to your point, there is a point when the dandelions are in full force, and a lot of people think, "Oh, I got to kill all those weeds." He purposely does not mow when there's a huge crop of them because the bees need them. You know, when we think about how life goes on, everything is there intentionally.
Right.
And it's so important to recognize. I was just listening to, when I was coming in here, history. History will repeat itself. And a lot of people think about today and tomorrow and yesterday, but they don't think about 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 100 years away. And like a garden, we need to
Cultivate.
nurture it and cultivate it. History, we need to respect it.
Mhm.
And it makes me think about recovery, because we all have this story,
Yes.
this history of who we are. We were born, then we have life, and then we have circumstances. We might find our substance use disorder because we had circumstances that got in the way. And then we begin to tell a new story
Right.
and build a new history
Yeah.
that we get to then share with people, which is literally what brought me to this table today. And I like I love my garden, but your analogy just helps kind of tie it all together, because we're always having to nurture. If we don't nurture, we don't grow.
We don't grow. And in that, going along with that thread, in that you're leaving a legacy for someone else that will pick up the baton
Mm-hmm.
and continue this race based on what you built.
Mm-hmm.
And we may never see the end result of it,
Mm-hmm.
but others will benefit from it.
Well, that brings me to something. There's a gentleman by the name of Sean used to work at Recovery Community Network up in St. Cloud. And it's just so interesting. He reached out to me today. So Sean now works, I can't remember what organization he works for, but he was reaching out to me.
MMPRA, I think.
MMPRA, yeah. Minnesota.
Peer Recovery Alliance.
No, I can't remember. It's up in Duluth, or up in St. Cloud. But Sean reached out to me today, and he said, Caddy, I'm developing this thing. And he said, I'd like to give recognition to those who impacted me. He says, do you mind if I put your name in? And I said, absolutely. I said, that would be kind of you, unnecessary, but kind. And then I said, but please understand, I am walking in the footsteps of the other people that got me to this point. And I named them: Chris Kelly, Wendy Jones, Cynthia. There's a Nell Hurley, who's no longer with us. She passed away, but she was the originating founder of our Minnesota Recovery Connection as an executive director. We walk in the history, in the feet of a lot of, at this point, it sounds like women, but there's a lot of men out there too.
Yes.
But these are the people. And so to your point, and to this idea that we're not doing this alone.
No.
This is a group effort. This whole recovery movement that we're in, it's all about people, and it's all about people wanting to get better, or people that are struggling, and how do we walk with them? The essence of Minnesota Recovery Connection: advocacy, peer-to-peer support, and education. I almost forgot education, even though I am in the training right now. If we don't step with people, people can fall apart.
They do.
And we can only do what we can do, but what we can do is we can walk alongside people. I'm currently in a training on Zoom right now. I got Sarah Kemp on my side saddle here on the radio show. She's running Motivational Conversation today. And I said I'd mention a few names if I can remember them all. Okay, let's see if I can do it. Okay, if I can remember my students in the class. We have Awas. We have Gulad. We have Shukia. We have Dylan, we have Mitchell, we have Will, we have Krishna, we have, heavens to Betsy, we have...
I think there was an Adrian in there.
No, let's see, I'm looking at the names on my Zoom boxes with my eyes closed. There's a few other, I'll see if I can remember their names. But what I want everybody to know is that when I, at Minnesota Recovery Connection, get to be with a group of 13 people that I've got on Zoom right now, what I get to do, and I always say this to them when I close the class, is that you are my legacy. And I don't know, to your point, Cynthia, I don't know what you're going to do or how you're going to do it, but carry on, carry through, carry forward.
Right.
Because that is how we do this work, is that we just walk alongside people. If they never do the job, that's fine, but they're better humans.
They have learned something.
They've learned something, and it's all about a teaching moment. So we're about ready to wrap up our first segment. Where did that 10 minutes go?
Gardening.
Gardening. The fruits of our labor.
Yes.
Yes. So we're going to flip the script here a little bit. When we come back, we're going to change seats, and Cynthia is going to actually interview me. We decided to do something fun. She's actually got some questions. I'm kind of scared here a little bit. But thank you for listening to Redefining Recovery, Recovery Revolution here on AM 950, the progressive radio station extraordinaire. We'll see you on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Caddy. Well, Caddy, hi.
Hi, Cynthia.
We've just done a complete role reversal here.
I know. It's like, hey.
Well, this is the first time I'm actually getting to host a portion
Mhm.
of this radio program.
Wow.
Wow. This is a big deal. This is a big deal. There's a lot of moving parts that I don't pay attention to
No.
when I'm on that side of the
No,
table.
the other side of the table looks very different, doesn't it?
It does. There's that responsibility.
Yes, there is. We can all learn from our next steps in life.
So this is exciting. So in today's recording or in today's program, one of the things that we talked about is I get to ask you some questions.
Mm.
And when I thought about that, and I was like, what is important for us to know this season, this month? What do we want to share with the community? What type of education do we want to provide to the community? We talked a little bit about gardening and cultivating that. One of the major parts of Minnesota Recovery Connection is education. It's one of our pillars.
Mhm.
We have three. We have advocacy, education, and peer-to-peer services. And those are the three pillars that we're beholden to within our mission and our vision.
Yep.
And I know that we haven't had a chance really to look at our mission and our vision probably in a little bit.
Yeah, no, for
So
sure.
I really want to read that out to our community
I love
as
that.
we begin this portion of our interview. So our mission is to strengthen the recovery community through peer-to-peer support services, public education, and advocacy. And our vision is where we envision a world where recovery from addiction to alcohol and other drugs is understood, promoted, embraced, and enjoyed, and where all who seek it have access to the support, care, resources that they need to achieve long-term recovery.
Mm.
That is our vision. That is what we want to see. And we do that through advocacy. We do that through peer-to-peer support services, and we do that through education. And as we go back to our education piece, some of the things that I've learned in being part of Minnesota Recovery is that these three focus points,
Mhm.
these are not sustainable services.
Not really, because they fall sort of by an expectation that they're just there 'cause.
But that's not the way it works.
No.
These are important factors in providing recovery support services to the community.
Mhm.
And to be able to do this type of work requires funding.
Does it take money to run things, Cynthia?
Even though it's free to our recovery community, it's not really free.
Well, I want to just clarify.
Mhm.
It's not free to the community. We offer scholarships
Mhm.
to some, but yes, we offer it as an available opportunity.
Mhm. And so when we do offer the scholarships, the individual's able to receive this Recovery Coach Academy,
Mhm.
and they're able to go through this 46-hour training,
Mhm.
and they are all the better for it. Because
Totally.
they've learned so much. Tell me a little bit about what happens in the 46-hour training.
Well, it's an extensive process. When I first came into working with Minnesota Recovery Connection, I was kind of like, how do you fit 46 hours into a week? And I'm like, oh, there's a method to this, which is people have to fill out an application. And that application has a requirement of, why do you want to do this work? Because a lot of people think, oh, that's really cool. I want to make money and I want to save people's lives. And I'm like, marvelous. But why do you want to do the work? What's your personal investment in this? Because it's more than just a job. It's really an involvement with humanity. So they write a statement that says that, and then I ask them, and we ask them to give 2 written references from anybody. And that requires some time to do those things. So that's where some of those hours come into play. Then we also have what's called a group interview. Used to be done in person way back in the day when I took the class back in 2016. But now we do it on Zoom, and we have a group interview. And this is an opportunity for me to like lay eyes on humans. And this is an opportunity where I read the Recovery Bill of Rights, which is by the Faces and Voices of Recovery, which really is a document that says that people in recovery are afforded the dignity and respect around their humanity.
Mhm.
But many times people in recovery maybe have a justice impacted background, maybe have not been pillars of the community. We can get treated very differently. The stigma around substance use disorder. So we read that together, and it kind of begins to lay a foundation for people taking the class. Then I'll ask them some questions that were gathered from the Minnesota Recovery Connection staff and also some other sources about, here's some situations, here's some scenarios. What would you do if you put on the lens of a peer recovery specialist, which is not a treatment center and not, I don't want to just say a sponsor, but another kind of recovery journey that is more step oriented or objective oriented. I call it the squishy middle. What would you do with your lived experience and your story to help somebody find their path for their recovery? So we kind of go through a little bit of that. And then in the class, really it's laying down the foundational pieces. Like yesterday in the class, we talked about what is a peer recovery specialist. We talked about what is an all recovery meeting, which is an entirely different style of recovery group that gets together and talk about physical, emotional, spiritual, and mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And then today we're talking about motivational interviewing and how do we talk to people? How do we ask a really good question?
Mm-hmm.
How do we get more information? Just like in an interview, your boss, your potential boss has to know what do you have skills around, but most importantly, it's like, how do you ask a good question? Because we go, hey, how you doing today? Good.
Good.
Hey, what's your best part of your day, Cynthia?
There is an open-ended question.
Did you have lunch today? Yeah. Hey, what did you have for lunch today?
Exactly.
And these are the things we try to help people with.
Mm-hmm.
And I have had more times than not with all of the incredible training I've been able to do when people come back the next day or another time and they say, I used those open-ended questions on my family and I got so much more information.
Then a yes, no.
Then a yes, no, or a one-word answer. And it's mainly kids. They're the ones who are just going to like give you that pat answer. And I just love sort of joshing around with people, say, ask it differently and see what you get. And many parents have said, we've never talked that long before in my life. Then we talk about cultural awareness. What does it mean to work with somebody who might look entirely, Cynthia and I have entirely different looks from the outside. Our stories have similarity. Our cultures are very different. But at the same time, there's that addiction.
Yep.
That's what we share.
Yeah.
So how do we look at someone? What do I need to know about you culturally, environmentally, educationally? And so that's where we talk about the cultural perspective of people. Understanding that if an East African woman, who we have one in our class today, talked yesterday about how she didn't know where she fit because she's actually born in Nigeria, is Somali, is Muslim, living in St. Cloud. Where does she fit?
Right.
Because she doesn't fit in all those different communities. And she said the reason why she used substances is because she tried to adapt in this community, that community. So this cultural awareness is really important to just sort of like, okay, what do I need to know about you to get you to where you want to go? Then the next day is about mental health and co-occurring. Mental health co-occurring. And I've now sort of built into mental health and co-occurring, I say they play in the same sandbox,
right? Because
a lot of times people have trauma as well. And so how do we build in that recognition that trauma may have been part of somebody's experience that brought them to use substances to take away the pain. But then there also might be mental health issues that are on top of that, and then mental health and substance use to maybe quiet the pain. That was my mother's experience. That was my experience. And then we talk about harm reduction, and then we talk about medicated assisted recovery, so MAT. Then we also have a conversation about how do we talk about suicide in our community, and that has really changed in the last many years. I keep droning on. You probably want to ask me a question, but I'm just going to keep on. And then on Friday, what we try to do is talk about the ethics about the work that we do, doing it the right way. We have kind of gotten a bad rap in the past due to some organizations, but I will have my individuals, to the best of my ability, understand you have a job, the job, do it right. If you got a question, ask. Don't just assume anything, because that'll make a out of you and me. And then we talk about the day in the life of what
it looks like,
sort of what a peer recovery specialist might look like. So that's the training, and it's a lot of information.
It is. And I took that very training, and you were one of the trainers in that group back in 2019 when I was doing my internship at St. Cloud State.
I was a fledgling back then.
You were a fledgling. You were getting your wings. You were actually getting your wings. And in all of this, with the Recovery Coach Academy and all the individuals that we work with, and all the applicants, I want to go down to the applicants.
Yeah.
Many times the applicants that come in and they want to take this training, they do not have the resources to be able to pay for this training. Now, we do offer scholarships because we allow them to volunteer their time to be able to participate in this week-long training. However, we also give them the resources to go seek funding to help offset the cost of this training. I'd like for you to tell us, how many people, Caddy, have you trained? And we went through this report not too long ago. What are the numbers? What have you done as a trainer for Minnesota Recovery Connection?
Well, there's a big number. I've trained just about 2,000 people. And I'm like, how is that even possible? But when I first came into Minnesota Recovery Connection, we were doing one a quarter. And now we do basically one a month, one every 3 weeks, give or take. And what I can say is that a chunk of that is because we had a particular grant, we call the COSEP grant, which taught a lot of people in the justice impacted in the prisons in Minnesota. And that is probably upwards of about not 400, maybe, no, I'm sorry, it's about 200-ish individuals. And so there's a very specific group. Then I've also trained another specific group, and I can't really pull numbers up, but the Native American community.
Right.
We had some grants back in the day from Department of Health and Human Services, DHS. We've had a walk into the East African community because of the interest and the concerns about that community. We have, because of Cynthia, our executive director, walked into the Latinx community to really sort of help that community. And when we look at this, and this is where this cultural aspect, me, Scandinavian, white chick, I got all that going on. I've got my community that has its problems, but each cultural community has its own specific nuances, thank you, that we're able to help. So the scope of the humanity that I've had the opportunity to be in with all the trainers that I've worked with over the years. We've touched a lot of different humans.
Many.
And I would say probably, if we were to speak very frankly, with the exception of the ones that were funded by other sources, we probably had about 30% of those pay for it. We've given the opportunity to people to do scholarships quite liberally, and that has, we'll be honest, that's cost us. And so think about that educational week I talked about. People get that for free. That has value.
It does. It has value. And there is a monetary value to it. So our trainings right now that we're providing, they have a price tag on them.
Exactly.
And so what we want to do now in moving forward is really reach out to our donors, reach out to our community. If there is an individual that would want to donate a class or donate funding towards an individual to take this class, that price tag is about $850.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so this helps provide this peer recovery coach training, the support that they get afterwards,
Mhm.
because we don't even touch the surface when we talk about what else goes into. How many times have these trainees that have been trained elsewhere or even through you come back to you and said, okay, I would like to recap on this. I'd like to touch on this topic again.
Mhm.
Help me understand.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that we're starting to do with more frequency is also do a preparatory class, an hour long, for individuals that want to get certified. Because ultimately, after this class, as we've just talked about, it's all education, all fantastic for doing a job, but then they got to get certified to go work in the field. In 99% of the jobs that are available, someone has to get certified. So another thing that we offer at no cost or a donation we've asked for is an hour long. How do I fill out the application for the certification? How do I prep for it? What do I study? What do I need to be aware of? So, this educational part, this advocacy, because that is advocating for the students in such a big way, because they're like, oh, this is so helpful. And then when they pass the test, the certification test, then I get the incredible email that says, I passed, it's wonderful. And I'm like, yahoo! Now that's literally what I say in all of their emails. But they're getting all of this because we care so much. And we want the people in our community that are doing the work to be well prepared to help people that are at probably their worst, or a moment where they really just need somebody to listen.
And then they also have to continue on with the CEUs, continuing education units or credits that they get.
Yeah. And that helps sustain their certification. Just anybody who's out there that understands continuing education for any certified position. Yeah.
And that's a requirement.
Absolutely. Once you get certified, if you let it lapse, then it could be a problem for your employment opportunities.
One last question that I have for you, Caddy, and this question is for myself as I go on to look at MRC. What would be the most meaningful, if you were to just take a second and just to think about the work that you do, what is the most meaningful part of your job, and how does that create impact in the community?
What is the most meaningful part of my job, and how does it impact the community? When I see, I'm closing my eyes to gnaw on that. The most important thing to me is when I see someone come in on the first day and they're a little anxious and they're a little worried, a little scared. They got this tall, crazy woman coming at them with all this information. And by about a day and a half, all of a sudden their shoulders relax and they're sitting in and they're like, oh, and that happened this morning. Now I understand. And then by the end of the week, that same person is understanding who they are and the role that they can play in their own journey. And then what can they give back? Because they have a sense of confidence. They have a sense of understanding. They have a sense of the unique position that they've had the opportunity to share with their fellow students. Yeah, I give them the information, but really what it is about that relationship that's developed between their fellow students. And all of a sudden there's like this energy in the room, and there's this feeling of like, I think I can do this. And I think I'm pretty okay. Because a lot of the people come in still a little unsure, a little bit broken still, and they walk away and they're like, yeah, I'm okay. I got this recovery thing. And what that gives to the community is it gives them another ally.
Yeah.
It gives them somebody to say, it's okay to not be okay. Maybe I can help you walk.
Mm.
Maybe I can help you get to a better place. The gift that I get, and I usually cry at some point during the week because I see these beautiful fledglings, young, old, different cultures, different humans, just sort of become this like beautiful, new, fresh human.
Mhm.
And sometimes they go out and they don't do the work, but they'll come back and they'll volunteer to fulfill their scholarship, and they're like, that was really a cool class. And I'm like, good.
Yeah.
That's what it does for me, and what it actually does for communities. And let me just say, it also does to those humans' families and friends,
Correct.
because it is a wave. It is like I get to toss this beautiful chunk of education into this pond,
Mhm.
and then it ripples out. My boyfriend's going to like that when he hears that. It's going to ripple out, and it's going to have a cause and effect exactly where it lands. Who knows? Some weeds are going to whisper, some waves are going to happen, some indecisiveness is going to go. But once it kind of lands, it lands someplace.
And it does. It does. Now, I am the one that does all the bold asking.
Yes,
We're
you do.
looking for sponsors. We're looking for donors. We're looking for foundations. We're looking for someone. Ooh, and I didn't mute my phone. We're looking for someone who will absolutely say, you know what? I heard that radio program. I heard Caddy talk about that Recovery Coach Academy, and I want to be the one to give $850 for one participant to go through.
Woohoo!
We will take your money because it's going towards something that is so valuable, and it is increasing not just our workforce, but knowledge within the community. And it has that ripple effect. It impacts families. It helps families come up out of poverty because now they can get a job. It's something that their life experience brought them this far.
And meaningful.
And it's meaningful.
And I think that's one of the things that I take away very often. I currently have like 3 students in a class, extraordinarily well-educated individuals. Some have been LADCs, some have wanting to be LADCs, come from families that are a couple of psychologists as parents and people. And what they've done is they've said, you know what? I could do those. 2 of them actually have been somewhere in the law practicing world. And they're like, yeah, I can do that job, but it's not fulfilling.
Mm.
And they're taking this class because they want to give back. It is about a job, but it's about it's about a job that actually gives to the community that they see hurting as well as thriving. And how do we keep that thriving going? It's so interesting. Each class has so many different nuances, but this one is very interesting because 2 people are paralegals and they're like, yeah, it's good, but it's not enough.
It's not enough. Yeah. So if someone says, Cynthia says, I want to donate, I want to sponsor a student in your class, Caddy, how do they get a hold of you?
They can reach me at Caddy, CADDY, at minnesotarecovery.org. And I will be happy to chat with you, talk to you about what your $850 will do for someone. I can't guarantee anything, but what I can say is I can confidently say is that I will give them the bones. I will give them the practical information. I will give them my passion, my undying support to give that person the best opportunity to do a job to help people become more of what they want to become. Our team at Minnesota Recovery Connection, Sarah Kemp, Cynthia, Darnell, any of the individuals that actually done the work, we'll sit down and talk to that person, give them some practical advice. We will support an individual all the way through.
Yeah. So with that being said, we are going to be asking you, dear listener, who has taken the time to really listen to this program, and for you to consider sponsoring a participant, a student, an individual that wants to go through this training, and being that part of the garden that provides that seed for this individual to go and get that foundational teaching to be able to go and do good work.
Yeah. And I think also what can be said when we have our last segment coming up, I want to throw out the opportunity that if you are a philanthropist, if you are somebody who sees value, hears value, maybe you could even sponsor an entire class.
Absolutely.
Maybe there's a community that is in need of having this.
Mhm.
You have a vision. There's other things that we can do trainings on. We'll talk about that in the next segment about what that might look like. So when we come back from Minnesota Recovery Connection, Cynthia is tossing the ball back to me because we're about ready for break time.
Yep.
So thank you for listening to Redefining Recovery, Recovery Revolution. When we come back, we'll do a little bit more information gathering and other educational pieces. So thank you for listening, everybody, and we'll see you on the other side. Thank you.
6 strings, 'cause without it there's no song. In this house.
You just gotta love that.
Oh, it's so great. Oh, love that little bit of voice there, a little rocking in your chair. Y'all are doing it. I know that you are listening there. Thank you for listening to Redefining Recovery, Recovery Revolution here on AM 950, the marvelous progressive radio station. So we've just been talking about the importance of education and advocacy. So Cynthia, you're in the boss's chair. So what else do you got?
So, Caddy, following up from our previous part of the conversation that we had and how we cultivate this wonderful garden of education that we offer at Minnesota Recovery Connection, the Recovery Coach Academy is not the only training program we offer.
No, it isn't.
How about you fill in our community and inform us of what else we have at the table?
So I mentioned that when somebody either takes our class for being a peer recovery specialist and wanting to get certified, that we are going to run on a regular basis a 1-hour preparatory for certification. And this is really important because sometimes people have a little pause between their classes. And I don't care where you've taken your class, but you're concerned and you want to make sure that you pass your exam. We're going to help you out with that. We'd love a little donation because that's great. It just helps pay for our time and things like that. I just was an incredibly good opportunity to do the compassion fatigue. I've mentioned it a couple of shows ago. We had an 8-part series that was done on compassion fatigue. And compassion fatigue in the recovery world is one thing, but compassion fatigue lives everywhere in our society.
Correct.
And it is I would call it, I worked with Patricia Carter, one of our coordinators through AmeriCorps, put a very comprehensive 8-part series on what is compassion fatigue. What is it? What is the mental health and physical health issues? What are the burnout symptoms? There's a whole series that we're going to run at least several times a year. We'd love anybody to be part of that.
Mm-hmm.
We also are doing, my brain just went blank. One of the things I want to mention is that with the class that we teach at Minnesota Recovery Connection, I have no problem if there's an organization, an individual hearing this show, they're hearing a piece, they're hearing a part of our educational process. Mm-hmm. If you want to take a piece of that and you want to bring it into your organization and bring myself and another team member in to educate on what is motivational interviewing, right. What does that look like? How do we get our staff? How do we get our organization that's helping people get better? Mm-hmm. How do we ask a really, really informative question? We'll come in, we'll sit with several people. We'll sit down and we'll have a good lesson and a good interaction, a dialogue about things like that. I think the thing about Minnesota Recovery Connection and all the things that we do about education is that we can plug it into life.
Exactly. Into businesses, organizations, because the truth is, Caddy, substance use disorder lives everywhere in professional realms, private homes, educational systems, factory work, everywhere. And we not only educate the recovery community, but we also have the capacity to go into organizations and educate their staff in healthcare systems, you name it.
Yeah. Well, I always say that addiction doesn't give a who you are. It's everywhere. And what I want also to say that I think is super important, and that is, don't be afraid of it. Learn about it. Feel maybe we can start a class of an informative class about, I don't know what to do about my human that's struggling. What is it that I can do? Help them to be around them. And first of all, I'm going to say, just love the heck out of them, because that's what they need more than anything, rather than be told what to do. You've heard me say that a million times for all of you. But we live in a world that is overrun with alcohol ads.
Mhm.
We are in a world that substances are impacting a lot of people. We're also in a world where there's a lot of unknown and a lot of fear and a lot of questions. But we've got so many good people that want to help people.
Correct.
And so we are able to do something real specific, and we can do something very general. And let us be part of your organizations, wherever you are, whatever you do. If you see a problem and you're not sure what to do with it, give me a call. Email me, Caddy@minnesotarecovery.org. I will be there I've walked through walked through a few organizations like, hey, I got this going on. And I'm like, here's how we could support you.
Mm-hmm. So here in the next 4 minutes that we have left, what I'd like us to really focus on is how we bring all of this together, because it's not just education that we do. This also leads us to be able to do the work as a peer-to-peer specialist, become a certified peer recovery coach specialist, work with individuals one-on-one, but also it generates this great big desire to be part of the larger community. And part of that helps us to come together, at least with Minnesota Recovery Connection, during the month of September and do fantastic events. For example, all these individuals that we train, they all, for the most part, all of them come back and gather together with us at the Walk for Recovery at the state capitol, at Rally Caps for Recovery with the Minnesota Twins. And we do have those 2 dates that are coming up for our community. And we'd love to see sponsors that did sponsor a participant to be there as well, to see the outcomes, to see the impact that not only does this class have on an individual, but the impact that Minnesota Recovery Connection has, along with many other organizations, and the impact that it has on the community itself. We have families that go because the families have been impacted by the recovery of their loved one.
And on a personal note, every time I have the honor, the privilege to run around in my golf cart at the Walk for Recovery, which is September 12th this year at the state capitol, I can honestly say one of the greatest parts of my work post-training is when people go, hey, Caddy, you trained me. Hey, Caddy, you trained me. Hey, Caddy, you trained me. And I always say, I love you all, but I will never remember your names, because there are just a few thousand, hundreds of people out there. But let me tell you, this warms a girl's heart, because what I know is that people are coming to the Walk for Recovery. Sponsors are coming. Organizations are coming to support the everything around what it means to be on a recovery journey, whether you're impacted or you're somebody who is a part of another phase of, you're a family member, you're a community member, you're a boss, you're a distant relative of somebody that struggled with substance use disorder.
Yep.
So we need sponsors. We need people to look at giving people an opportunity to take this class, do their best work, become their best humans. We have such an opportunity at Minnesota Recovery Connection to continue after all these 2009 to 2026. I don't know what that math is. We've been around a long time.
Yes. And we continue to be that. So MRC here, we've got about a little over a minute left. And we really want to just reach out and just share with you, a listener, just share with you the wonderful work that we've done. We encourage you to go to our website, www.minnesotarecovery.org. redefining.org. And check us out.
Check us out. We got
Check
a
us out,
new marketing camp. We got a brand new logo and stuff. Ooh,
yes.
we're looking hot.
And we have just recently relocated to the Minneapolis area on East Lake Street.
Mhm.
So, and our headquarters now is in Anoka County, up at Fridley, Minnesota, at the Center for
Substance use disorder and mental health.
Yes.
And you're near the university Unity campus up in Fridley.
Campus
Yes.
up in Fridley. So there are lots of wonderful changes that occurred in 2026 so far. Many more to come. Thank you, Caddy, for allowing me, for giving me this time to ask you questions.
Yeah.
This is a part that you absolutely love, is teaching.
I do. Thank you all for listening. My name is Caddy Frink, your host on Redefining Recovery, your recovery revolution on AM 950. We also have Pride Festival. I'm looking at the Pride flag here. We are going to be at Pride Festival on that Saturday. So thank you for listening. Cynthia, say goodbye to the humans.
Goodbye, humans.
Bye-bye.